Good afternoon, and thanks for joining us Across the Fence. I'm Fran Stoddard. Many of us take for granted having access to food, let alone fresh food. According to Hunger Free Vermont, 1 in 8 Vermonters are food insecure, which means they don't have reliable access to food. Finding fresh local food outside the growing season is a challenge for organizations that rely on donations. A food shelf in Windham County is looking to change that by taking a fresh approach to charity. They've developed a pilot program that pays a local farmer to grow food specifically for the food shelf. Keith Silva visited the farm and the food shelf to bring us this story.
Fridays are busy at the Putney Food Shelf.
Today's pickup day. Yeah, shopping day. Yep.
Tiffin Mayberry is here every Friday to pick up her groceries for the week.
I live on Social Security, and having this is very, very nice.
There are canned veggies and soups on hand, but what Mayberry appreciates is the fresh winter greens that the food shelf offers shoppers. The greens come from All One Farm, located less than a mile away.
It's coming straight from the farm to our table, literally like the day that we're serving it. So it's about as fresh as you can get. They're nutrient packed, so the level of nutrition that we're able to provide is pretty incredible. And it's something that's fairly expensive to typically access, and feels like people don't have that kind of access on a regular basis unless it's coming through us. And it's unique.
The Putney Food Shelf regularly receives donations of fresh produce during the growing season. But the spinach from All One Farm is different. First, it's an early season green, which makes it rare in Vermont. And second, it's not a donation.
Food is a basic need.
Hannah Pick is the director of the Putney Food Shelf.
Much of what we serve is donated, but we do purchase some things regularly, such as milk. We make a commitment to purchasing that every week. But in the winter, we don't receive many donations of produce. The Vital Greens program is one of those things that fits a niche of need.
Vital Greens is a one-of-a-kind pilot project that pays a local farmer to grow produce specifically for the food shelf. Pick wrote the grant that got the project funded.
The Vermonters Feeding Vermonters grant. That's a grant that the Vermont Food Bank provides to its network partners, and it's a way of giving back to the community, the local community, supporting the local community. It encourages us to purchase locally instead of maybe going after the cheapest thing. We're going after something that that will support our local food system.
Hi, Denise.
Good morning, Kathleen.
Here you go.
Oh, these are beautiful. Thank you.
You're so welcome.
The Putney Food Shelf is paying All One Farm about 20% less than the retail price.
What we came up with was a realistic price for what a farmer would charge for their time and for the effort of growing these greens. It's like a CSA kind of price.
This is a good way to get some really good local food, and it's nice to eat healthy.
Fresh greens arriving in April is like a miracle. It's so fantastic. I literally had a shopper the week before the greens arrived. She was shopping and she was looking at our produce, and she said to a volunteer, are you going to have any greens? I was so excited to tell her that, yes, in a week we're going to have fresh greens coming to the food shelf. Like, this is, it was like, and her response was, oh, I can't deal with canned spinach any longer, and I think we all feel that way at this time of year. It's a very universal feeling.
Containers, Laura.
Food shelves have seen an uptick in clients in the last few years due to the pandemic and inflation.
We've been averaging a little over 70 a week, 70 households. Over the pandemic, we watched it go up in trajectory, so it went over 90 households per week and then slowly declined. Pre-pandemic, it was around 40 households per week. Anybody that needs it comes to the Putney Food Shelf. So we have many throughout the community, and it's not limited to just Putney.
The Putney Food Shelf is considered a supplemental source for the people who come here. Some shoppers qualify for federal or state food assistance programs like SNAP or 3 Squares VT. Whatever the circumstance, the Putney Food Shelf helps shoppers stretch their dollars further.
In an ideal world, we wouldn't exist. But for our purposes, ideally, we are not somebody's primary grocery source. We're helping them, whether they're on 3 squares or they have a fixed income and aren't able to access 3 squares, which we're seeing so often right now, especially with inflation. What we're seeing is the income that they had isn't going as far as it used to, and they're making harder choices. I mean, for some of our population, they've been making these choices for a long time, but we have a whole new segment of our population that's making these harder decisions around, do I buy the medicine or do I buy the food?
I cook for myself, plus I have my granddaughters that come over, and so I know what I'm giving them is good food. As most older people do, we work with health issues. So I know the healthier I can eat, the healthier I will be.
I just love that we have incredible greens on our shelf for people, you know, for our shoppers. I think it's a high ideal to provide really high quality food at a food shelf. And it's what we aim for. It's what we want people to walk away with, you know, the most healthful, nutritious, and delicious and comforting food. There's a piece also with the food we want to give out, food that people want to eat, that makes them feel good, nourished, taken care of, and that just like is nourishing our community at the deepest level.
Having local, nutritious food for people who otherwise wouldn't, with the help of community members willing to take a little less to do a lot more, makes Vital Greens a win-win. In Putney, I'm Keith Silva with Across the Fence.
Joining me now via Zoom is Zach Hebert. He is the Associate Manager of Community Engagement of the Southern Region for the Vermont Food Bank. Thanks so much for joining us.
Hi, thanks for having me.
So quickly, how does the food bank actually support local food shelves with donations or, in the case of Vital Greens, funding to pay farmers or other needs?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, at the Vermont Food Bank, we really do focus on trying to source as much local produce as we can within our own distribution operation. So this past year, we had the highest percentage of fresh produce that we distributed that we've ever had. So we are working on doing that more often. But we also are supporting programs like Vital Greens through our Vermonters Feeding Vermonters program, where we are directing funding specifically to Vermont producers in the state of Vermont to help those food shelves develop that connection.
Awesome. So it's great that you're getting fresh and perishable foods out to the food shelves as well.
Absolutely, yes. So
has this model of paying farmers to grow produce been tried in other parts of the country or other parts of Vermont?
Yeah, that's a great question. So this program has existed through the Vermont Food Bank for about 4 years now, and it's actually modeled off of a program in Maine called Mainers Feeding Mainers, which follows a very similar model. And when we started the program about 4 years ago, that was a really strong roadmap for us to build off of and kind of customize for the state of Vermont.
So how can this Vital Greens project become even more sustainable beyond a one-time grant so other Vermont communities can get involved?
Yeah, so the food bank has our Vermonters Feeding Vermonters mini grant program, and that program goes out to partners all across the state, and that program continues to grow year after year. And the Vital Greens program is such an amazing example of what happens when you take a local, a local relationship and local possibilities and match it with that funding, and really allow the food shelf to drive what they need for their community. So this is an example of where they're getting greens where they typically wouldn't.
It's a real win-win. Right. So talk about quickly gleaning programs. The Vermont Food Bank has been involved in those for quite a while, and how that's another way of getting local produce to Vermont communities.
Yeah, so the Vermont Food Bank has gleaning programs operating in 3 parts of the state, in the greater Brattleboro area, the greater Rutland area, and the greater Burlington area. I manage our program down here in Brattleboro, and we've been gleaning for over 10 years now. We have some partners, including Harlow Farms, who are extremely dedicated to to helping support that program, and we get to go out to those farms and harvest produce that otherwise wouldn't be harvested, either because of a lack of time or a lack of a market. So another way to get amazing high quality produce to food shelves.
Right, so as we go into the growing season, will Vital Greens program, will that program still be used in the summer in addition to these donations that the farmers provide through gleaning?
Yeah, so the Vermonters Feeding Vermonters program that we operate allows each food shelf who receives that funding to customize their purchasing in a way that works best for them. And the Vital Greens program is an example of where the Putney food shelf really prioritized those, as you saw, amazing greens early in the season. So local purchasing will continue to happen throughout the entire year. And our hope is that sharing the word about the Vital Greens program will help encourage some of our other partners to think creatively about how to use those funds when they might not otherwise be getting donations or have other farm partners providing
Absolutely.
food.
And it's wonderful to have these in the wintertime when you usually can't get them. So this project was spearheaded by a local food pantry. What does that say about the need for fresh local food in Vermont?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think it's such a strong example of how at the Vermont Food Bank, we're committed to continuing to increase our fresh produce and always trying to think about how to get, that nutritious and delicious food into our system. But also, this is an example of the magic of what can happen when you have individuals in the community kind of showing up at food pantries and saying, what can I do to help? What unique gift can I bring to help feed people in our community? And then the food pantry having the resources to respond to that and be able to act on it.
Well, and just a few seconds, volunteer efforts and opportunities happening this summer through the food bank?
Yeah, so if folks are interested in getting involved, they can check out our Gleaning program if they're in Burlington, Rutland, or the Brattleboro area. And we also have our Veggie Van Go program, which operates throughout the state several times a week. So folks can always sign up to volunteer through that.
Okay, thank you so much, Zach.
Thank you.
And for more information about how to donate to the Vermont Food Bank or get involved, you can go to this vtfoodbank.org. And that's our program for today. Once again, thanks for joining us across the fence. I'm Fran Stoddard. Stay well.